Hi everyone, my name is Harms from Ethereal Wings, and I'm so happy to be joined today by the beautiful Tracy from Sleepy Wisdom at Navigators Tarot, a beautiful healer, psychic, medium, an amazing tarot card reader based in Melbourne, and also Christina from Coaching with Christina, who's an amazing hypnotherapist, coach, and healer. So I really wanted to get these beautiful ladies together to discuss something that's really been coming up as a topic within these circles, probably over the last few months. And I feel that it's really important to get this message out. So our discussion today is going to be about taking responsibility for our own healing and the importance of inner work. I think gone are the days now where we rely on gurus or other external forces for our own healing. And if anything has shown us over the last 2 years is that we really need to go within, be sovereign beings and take responsibility for our own spiritual journey. And towards the end of the video, we're going to provide some tips on how to empower people, I guess, for their own spiritual journey. But I really wanted to start off with this beautiful quote that I saw this morning. And I'm not sure who said it, but the quote is, "It's your road and yours alone. Others may walk it with you, but nobody can walk it for you." So I think that's apt and really beautiful. And with that, I would like to hand it over to the lovely Christina. And yeah, welcome, Christina. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Blessed to be here today and really excited. My healing journey started a long time ago. And I think this conversation is really important because a lot of people, I think, it's about learning to discern, as we all say, and we've all heard that multiple times, but also we have to do the work. And I think for many years I went to psychics and was like, when is this going to happen? And when is that going to happen? And nothing happened because I didn't take action. I didn't change. And if you don't take action, if you're in the same job and you go every day and you're complaining about being in the same job, you're complaining about the people, if you don't take action to change yourself, nothing's going to change. If you're in a marriage and you're really unhappy and you're every day just living every day, you're not going to make yourself happier because you got to do the work, you got to make that change, and you got to take action. And that's really hard. But taking action can be simply going on YouTube and finding a meditation. It's really easy because once you decide to take action, your whole life will change. And that's what happened for me. I was going to lots of psychics and going to a hypnotherapist, which was wonderful. And this psychic one day was the most honest psychic for years. And she said, because I said, am I going to meet someone soon? She goes, no, you got to do the work. And I thank her for that every day, because if you're not told, like, you don't realize that when you are going to all these people that you do have to do the work, because you are led to believe that they help you do the work, they help you heal, or they do all the work. So when you make that decision that you're going to do what you really enjoy and you invest in yourself, you invest time, that's when your whole life changes. And that's what happened for me. That's how I discovered the hypnotherapy I do, which is the rapid transformational hypnotherapy. And once I started on that journey, everything just aligned, and I went from one course to another course to a coaching course. And I learned that when I have clients come to me, you really got to want the change too, because you can stay in that, we call it the drama triangle. And the drama triangle is you're either the aggressor, you're the victim, or you're somehow playing a part of that role. And when you get off it, that's when your life gets so much better. So that's what I'm here to have this conversation with you guys, to teach people that you can simply download an app of hypnosis to change your life. It's not that hard. It's not going from guru to guru. It's not listening to Tony Robbins going, my life's going to get better and better every day, because they're still people. And that's what we've got to remember. All those people that we put on a pedestal, all the books, they're still people, and that's just their truth. So make your own truth, make your own story, and just be in the question too, like, what is it going to take for this to get better? Instead of my life is crap. So yeah, I'll hand it over to Tracy now.
Thanks, Christina.
I think you've just said it all, Christina. Let me.
That was brilliant.
Because it's pretty much the same. Look, I mean, my journey started about 22 years ago. You know, I had like a spontaneous Kundalini awakening, which kind of is ongoing. And so for me, it's kind of like I'm on this constant ayahuasca trip without taking any ayahuasca, really. So it's but through all of that, I pretty much had to, I you know, went through the same sort of thing. You know, I was constantly attacked by dark entities, all sorts of things, just not realizing and pushing hard against all of that, you know, and trying so hard to hold on to my sanity at the same time while losing it at the same time. So it was really mine was very chaotic, and yeah, but it eventually led me to realizing that I was the one who needed to heal myself, because I had been to healers supposedly that would be able to remove these entities from me, and finding out that wasn't the case, and spent a lot of money doing that. And until one day I just surrendered to God, pretty much, whatever you want to call God. I use God because it's an easy word to use to encompass all that is. And I remember just letting go and just going, kill me now, I can't do this anymore. And the minute I let go and surrendered, everything left me, and I was able then to work through what I had to work through. Another thing that happened, which was very critical to that time, was I remember feeling a great amount of fear, so much fear that I thought, this is just so overwhelming, I don't think I can, you know, I always used to have uncontrollable urges to run out in front of trucks, and the fear was so great. I would have panic attacks, like 8 to 10 a day. I didn't realize until a little while after that that actually was my whole body, and my psyche and my emotional body, everything was clearing out massive amount of past life stuff that needed to be removed. But I remember one critical point, and it was one thing that I managed to do, was to actually stop in the fear and ask myself, what is causing this fear? And then I actually stopped, grabbed a pen and a piece of paper, and I wrote down, why do I feel this way? And you know what? I got an answer. And this is the thing, when we rely on ourselves, we actually have the answer. So the answer came straight to me, and I like automatically wrote what the answer was, which then led me down another question and another answer and another question and another answer, until I got to the very, very core of what it was. And then I remember when I got to the core of it, I just started to cry, and I started to release everything that had actually caused this fear. And when I did that, when I had cleared out everything, it was only then that I could actually say to myself, I will never feel this way again. And I actually wrote that down. Because the one thing I found, which a lot of people, like, I don't know any real positive, you know, these positive gurus, I don't really know any of them, but I feel that a lot of people, and I have heard this, that you know, you say these affirmations do not work if you have not cleared out the core issue of what is going on in your life. Affirmations only work once you have cleared out that which has actually kept you back. So that was the one core thing that I had found with my healing work, my self-healing work. And, you know, I use it to this day, among other things, because I've now learned a different method of healing through a woman in Melbourne. But hers is very similar. It's all about finding the core issue, and you can do that with the facilitator as long as you both are working in tandem together, and you both are on the same level, and you both have an agreement. But I have been scammed before, and I have recently spoken to a few women who have come to me for healings and come to me for tarot readings, and they are finding the same thing. So, I mean, I've always been about empowering women or anyone to do the healing themselves, and it's a really worthwhile, rewarding journey. And don't worry, like, I'm not perfect. There is no way. I am triggered by all sorts of things, and I often go into that fight or flight mode, and I often fight, which is something I need to sort of look at. But it's the awareness that you have that, yes, you do have these things, and that's the thing. It's always about awareness of the darkness that you do have, that we all have within us, and how to manage that, and hopefully one day release that and replace it with something much better and lighter.
Yeah, that self-awareness is really important, I feel, because it's so easy to distract ourselves with drugs or alcohol, or throwing yourself into work 6 or 7 days a week. You don't get a sense, you don't get that. Yeah, you need time to actually sit with yourself, be with yourself, and start to gain that self-awareness. I've dealt with people like that. As you know, Tracy, from our sessions together, there's, it's not going to work anymore where we're heading, to throw yourself into work 7 days a week, or, distract yourself with all these external things. Because the more you do that, the more the universe is going to kick us up the ass and give us harder and harder lessons until you actually get it. So, it's so spot on. You have to go to the core of what's actually happening within you.
Yeah, it's very true. And especially at the moment, because of the way that the world is changing, and we're going through so many massive amounts of changes within our own. Well, I'm finding that within my own self, that I've had to let go of a lot of material things that used to, that kept me bound, I guess, to this old structure, and having to let go of that and putting my faith in something much higher than that, and much sort of like, I guess I'd use the word God again because it's simple and easy, but all that is pretty much you have to, because I found in the past, the more you push back against the universe, the harder it pushes back against you. And so when you allow, it's like serendipity comes in, and then all these things start to occur that are kind of like, just then you go with the flow, and then you're led to something else, and it's like, whoa, this is great. Wow, I'll just let go. But yeah, it's dealing with fears and stuff that do come up. Yeah,
absolutely. And I have my own triggers as well, just because I think people have this this idea that just because we offer healing services means we're perfect. We're not at all perfect at all. We've been through the ringer, and triggers still come up. I mean, I think I probably told you both, last year, I cracked it with my guides. I didn't talk to them for a month, and they were trying to provide me lesson after lesson, and I just got sick of it, and I was like, that's it, never talking to you ever again. until they actually approached one of my friends who's another healer in Melbourne, and they were just tapping her on the shoulder for a few weeks, to say, we'd like for you to book in Harms for a higher self hypnosis session, so they came the back way. And of course, after the session, we made up. But, that's, again, what you were saying about the lessons are just going to get harder. And the more you push back, the harder the universe is going to push back as well. And, that's what I really like about the modality that I offer, which is sacred source healing, because you not only get a healing, but you get the tools to empower you for your own self-healing afterwards. And I'm sure that's the same, you know, with you, Christina, as well, with the ancestral work that you do. You know, healers are a tool. You use that tool and you learn, you know, other tools for you to go inward afterwards. So, you know, Christina, how does that relate to the work that you do, and how do you get that message out there for your clients?
Yeah, it's about trusting the journey. And so when with the sacred ancestral clearing, we clear all the stuff from the ancestors, and it's really a profound change, because it's very similar to what you do, Harms, but in a different way. And that people just are blown away. And with what Tracy was saying about affirmations, people don't actually know that affirmations stress out the body. So unless you align with that affirmation, they actually cause a lot of negative responses, because you're saying to the universe, oh, I have all this money, I'm a millionaire, and your body's going, no, I'm not. So it's actually very stressful. So it's all about sort of, and as healers, we continue to heal ourselves because we know what it takes and we know the journey. So it's not something that we just go, oh, we're healers, we're perfect. No way. And there's always something that's a trigger. And I've learned now that if it triggers me, like I just go, okay, what's in this? Or what belief system do I have to make this true? Because is it true? So and there's little things you can do for yourself, like Harms, you were saying, talking to your guides. People don't even know they have guides. So they don't realize that it's just as simple as connecting to the light, being in your true self, and saying, just having a chat and opening up that intuition that we all have, because we've all blocked it off. So I was at a course on a weekend and I said, talk to your guides. And two people said to me, what are guides? So in the healing world, it's quite common for us to talk about our guides, and like I'm like you, Harms, I cracked it at mine too. And but people don't know that, and they don't know that they can help themselves in those little ways. And there's so many little ways that you can help yourself, instead of going, oh, I've got to go to the healer this week because she'll tell me this, or I've got to go to this because I need to be told this. It's like, what possibilities can you create in your life? So yeah, and clearing the stuff is on a full moon, or I think is it a new moon, Tracy, where you get rid of all you sort of write everything out, or is it a...
You know what? People actually ask me astrological stuff. I have no idea most of the time.
Yeah, well, I think, when there's a full moon, you can get a green pen, because green is dissolving, and you can write out all the stuff all the shitty stuff in your life.
Yeah. I gotta go with that. Actually, it's a new moon that, you know what, I don't know. I think, isn't it full moon that you release?
Yeah, I think it's full moon you release new, like yesterday's moon was manifesting the new. So, but like simple things like writing in green is dissolving. So if you're in a bad mood, write it out in green, burn it. That dissolves it. If you want manifestation, write it in red, put it on yellow paper, red and yellow, and manifesting. Like there's all little things you could do like that really create the change, instead of having to pay for someone all the time to go and help you. Yeah.
And you know, it is really good, like if you need at certain points, like for us even, it's like I really need it's like we do know, but it's sort of nice to have someone to affirm exactly what it is that we're going through. So it is good sometimes to get help, because I'm actually thinking I might book into Harms anyway, because just I want to move some stuff forward. And you know, sometimes I procrastinate a lot, so sometimes I just need someone just every now and again to just release a bit of stuff. So I'm thinking of doing that, but you know, so every now and again. But you know, there's one really good thing that you were actually talking about, and it's true. When you're in alignment, the thing is, most of the time, when you're pushing back, you're not in alignment. And if you're hurrying all the time and you're in fear all the time, you're not in alignment with all that is, because pretty much the universe is just there to help you. And look, it's all based on unconditional love anyway. So if you're in fear, you're not in alignment. And it's exactly right what you're saying. to us, it's sort of like we need to sort of like move into alignment with all that is and relax and just surrender it sometimes to that and allow the universe to take us where we need to be. And that's when we're in alignment, you know. So yeah, really, really interesting point about alignment. And the ancestors, so although the ancestors are like, that's, you know, that's very, very, at the moment, we really need our ancestors to help us because we're moving into a completely different space.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
you know, on a frequency level.
And the shamanic cultures
Yeah.
actually say that when you heal yourself, you heal 7 generations before and 7 generations after. So, you know, you actually start to notice the changes in all the people around you.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's amazing that, you know, you're the one that was here in your family, in your close-knit, you know, of I guess people to actually hold that space for all of your ancestors. You know, it's no small feat to be able to do that. So, you know, even in my sessions, there's a protocol that I use called inner child healing. And what I've noticed over the last few months is that clients are not just going back to their childhood, but they're going back to past lives. And that's because we're ready for that, you know, deep level of healing at the moment. And, you know, we've all been crucified over centuries for, you know, being a witch or, you know, even telling the truth. You know, so many of my clients have been crucified.
And it continues.
Yeah, and it continues, exactly. You know, we're going through the same thing today. It's the same energy. But, you know, the most amazing thing about that is that we're all back. We're actually all back, you know, to create something different during these times. I think I heard a YouTube video where they were saying 80% of people from Atlantis have actually all incarnated back into these times. So, you know, we can't be messed with, you know, as long as we do the inner work and get to that space of power and sovereignty, you know, they can't mess with us.
No, especially at the moment, like, you know, with the divine feminine, that sort of thing. I mean, a lot of people call it new age to call things divine feminine, divine masculine. It works. I mean, it all depends what works for anybody, you know. It's that balance between the two, yin and yang, whatever you want to call it. And there's been a huge imbalance. So it's kind of like now there has to be some sort of balance. That's why the feminine, because we've been subjugated for so long, is now coming up and rising up and leading the way pretty much, because the new earth energies need that balance. And so we have to rise. So that's why a lot of us seem to be women at the moment. That are you know, doing a lot of work. There are a lot of men as well, and the men are coming up. But yeah, there seems to be a lot of women more so at the moment that I'm sort of seeing anyway. Some men.
A huge percentage of my clients are women as well. Some men are coming up as well, but you know, do a lot of womb healing and a lot of healing where there's been a lot of sexual abuse, you know, down the ancestral line. So, you know, we've worked with the client to heal a lot of that. And I'm sure you've probably had the same too, Christina, in your work. You know, a lot of definitely womb healing coming up.
With the sexual abuse, I've had clients that they don't think it's been in their lifetime, but even just bringing it up, that it triggers them. And it can be from, because the DNA ancestral clearing I do goes back 7 generations or more as well. So it can clear the sexual abuse from generations that would have happened. And also too, our cellular memory is incredible. So it goes through the generations. So each of the processes are really powerful. And I was just going to say, with men, and I think with everything everyone's going through at the moment, we have been taught to identify ourselves by the work we do. As like previous to this, I was working in an office, and it's like, well, what do you do? Well, I fly horses around the world. And that was our identity. And I think what people will struggle with going forward, and especially men, is the ones that have chosen that their choices, make their choices at the moment, are really struggling, because that is their identity. What they do in the world if they're a mechanic, that's their identity. And the really hard thing is making that decision to be, well, am I going to, I have to feed my family? What is my choice I'm going to do? And for a lot of men that have chosen just to be free of that slavery in society, it's really hard. And the divine feminine is certainly rising, which is really good, because I think we're the ones that have the courage to, like my sister, a teacher, to go, okay, I'm looking after the children of the future, so I'm going to make a decision. And the universe has looked after her. She has got alternative work. She's getting alternative money. So as much as they try to pull everyone down, when you make that decision in your sovereignty, it all works, as long as you're not in fear. As Tracy said, just we've all been taught to be in slavery, to work the 9 to 5, to work the 9 to 10 o'clock, the 9 to 8 o'clock, whatever we do. We've all been taught to do that. That's the way we're meant to do it. But when you let go of that, amazing things can happen as well.
Yeah, that's spot on. That's beautiful. And, you know, especially men, I think, have been taught that, you know, you have to be working a certain amount of hours a week, you know, 60, 70 hours a week in order to be successful, you know, and that's just not the case anymore. Eventually the universe is going to give you some sort of illness if you don't stop, to slow you down. And, you know, that's the truth of what it is, because, you know, now it's the time to create and not be that slave to the system anymore. The last 2 years, you know, should have shown us that. But, you know, like I said, if you don't stop now, if you don't start to go inwards now, you're going to get sick, and the universe is just going to keep throwing these curveballs at you until you realize. And, you know, we spoke about that too, Tracy, that, you know, last year, I think they thought that it was okay for them to dilly-dally and, you know, just take the piss basically. But now this year they're being forced to go inward. So it's really interesting how things are shifting.
Yeah. And it's interesting because what we perceived as truth is being, you know, brought to us, you know, as we were born. But I think at the moment we're starting to recognize that what we held as true actually isn't the case. And so we're finding, and like you say, it has to do with sovereignty and personal power, and finding that. And that a lot of the truth is fear-based, is based in fear. And now that we're finding, as we're clearing those fears, we're starting to find our own truth and working from that space, from that space of unconditional love and truth for ourselves, which I think is crucial at this point in time, you know, to bring those energies onto the earth plane, where at the moment it's just so much chaos and fear. So actually being the truth in that chaos and fear is, yeah, a little bit daunting for most people, but well worth it for yourself.
Yeah.
You know, if
And
you're
what
going,
advice
you need
would
to look
you
within.
what advice would you give to people that are still in that fear space?
Stop. Ask yourself where the fear comes from. Like I said, write it down. Ask yourself the question answer thing works really, really well. To stop and really look within. And even if it's like, stop, meditate on the question and answer and write them down. You will always get to the core of the issues on your own. If you need someone to direct you or to facilitate, find a reputable healer. There are many, like just a case in point, I had a lady come to me just not long ago who was really upset. She had gone to someone that she thought, because they said that, you know, they were a shaman, and they were told by this particular woman that they needed to come back to her at least 3 or 4 times, and that she needed to do the work, but the healer was the one to do the work. And the lady went and spent a lot of money, and she said, I got nothing out of it whatsoever. All she did was bang a drum around me for 3 sessions and said, well, you should be right now. It's like, well, she's not shown her anything. She said, I spent so much money. And she said she scammed me out of all that money.
Mm.
And so it's sort of like you have to use your own discernment. But then at the same time, sometimes some of us, like I have in the past, had to go to these scammers to actually recognise that, yes, I can. See, that's the thing. We always look at these things as negatives, but probably they're not. They can actually also, any negative can be a positive if you look at it the right way. So, you know, they actually will, well, mine taught me to go within and find my own answers to my own problem. But it's always great to actually have, if you can find a really good healer that you can actually work with, then by all means, I think that's the best thing you can do. But also too, that healer should be able to give you clues and answers so that you, and facilitate some sort of change that you can actually work on yourself, by yourself, I feel, anyway. So that you're not keeping coming back, because the last thing that any of us need are people who are constantly needing help and not doing anything about helping themselves. It's very tiring on the healer, and it's very tiring on the person that is supposedly being healed. You have to take control of your own life, and you have to take control of your own healing in whatever way, shape or form that comes in. That's my feeling anyway.
Yeah.
So take responsibility and look within, and always ask yourself, do the question answer thing. It works 100% every time.
Absolutely. And, you know, I've been seeing clients on a pretty regular basis over the last couple of years, but I've probably only turned away 2 people in all that time because they just weren't ready to do the work. You know, I had this one lady and, you know, she emailed me and she was like, you know, I've just broken up with my boyfriend. Can you help me to get him back? And so I was trying to explain that, okay, well, I can't help you to get him back, but we can work on, you know, on what you need to work within yourself to help you to raise your vibration a little bit more so you can attract the right person. She was like, no, I just want you to bring him back for me. So I had to turn her away. You know, you're obviously not wanting to take responsibility for yourself, and you're wanting an external force to be able to heal you. You know, it does not work like that anymore. Healers can show you the way. You know, I feel even a little bit uncomfortable calling myself a healer because it's more facilitating a process. Yes, you do get a healing, but you learn a very simple and powerful tool ongoing that you can use on your own, and it's so transformative. So, you know, that to me says to me that you can trust, you know, that particular person. I don't know what your thoughts are, Christina and Tracy, but what would you say are the marks of, you know, a pretty decent healer? You know, what sort of, and you touched on that, Tracy, that they'll need to be able to give you the tools, but what else can people look for in someone that they go to for healing and advice?
I would always go to somebody that's recommended. I go to the healers of healers. So get in a tribe where you know these people work. And also too, it's not one size fits all. So there is so many different modalities. Like the other weekend I learned access bars, which is just a way of, you lie on the table and it's a way I can facilitate change for you by running the energy through your body, and it changes the whole nervous system. So there is so many different things. Kinesiologists, they are amazing for people that are hanging on to stuff, that can't get rid of stuff. They get on a really good kinesiologist because they don't want you coming back all the time, but they want to facilitate the healing for you as well. And they facilitate that within the body. And then you've got you've hypnotherapists, and you've got all different sorts of hypnotherapy. For me, I do hypnotherapy in this lifetime in the sacred ancestral clearing, which is clearing the family line as well as clearing you. And I always tell people to clear slavery, which makes it easier to jump out of your job. And yeah, there's so many different forms of hypnotherapy, but go to the ones that are busy. If you have to wait a couple of weeks, that's a good thing, because it means that they're good. Like, yeah, and if they're interstate, or like, we can all do Zoom these days, we can all do FaceTime. And yeah, and if you know a little bit about them, it's always word of mouth too. Like Tracy, she works with my sister, so I knew Tracy for a long time, and Harms, obviously we met. But you know, you always go to people that are recommended. You always get a vibe on how people felt when they walked out the door, and yeah, it makes it. And for me, when I'm doing coaching and healing in this, I don't always give the people the answers. They've got to work it out for themselves, and they've got to take that action to make that change happen, because the mind, it's 30 days of change. It's not straight away. So each learning, you've got to learn that. You've got to keep on top of all that learning and take responsibility for it for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And that reminds me of a beautiful quote that I think it was David Icke. And he said, you know, life tends to give you the greatest gifts disguised as your worst nightmare. You know, nobody can go through that process with you, for you. They can go through it with you, but they can't go through it for you. So, you know, it's all about discernment and finding the right healers. And I'm the same as you, Christina. I only go off recommendations. You know, I've had some pretty questionable healers that I've been to in the past as well. And, you know, you've really got to start building that network, that community of people that, you know, really have your back. You know, what's coming up in the world at the moment, you know, the medical system is crashing. You know, GPs are not going to be around for much longer. The hospital system, we all know what's going on with that. But, you know, it's really about building this beautiful community of all the witches that were probably burnt to the stake in, you know, the past few centuries. And yeah, so, you know, you've really got to take that responsibility into your own hands. And there's a line in one of them, and actually every modality, in every protocol in the modality that I offer, which is sacred source healing, which is we are the creators of our own world. And it really is true. You know, you've got to realize that, you know, everything you want out of life is a result of your own actions and the amount of effort that you're willing to put into your own inner work. I think that's so important. And if you're not willing to put that effort into your own inner work and your own spiritual journey, well, you're gonna have a very hard time with what's coming up.
Yeah, definitely.
So
yeah, especially at the moment.
Yeah.
As we transition to this new energy that's coming in, which I'm already feeling, purging, like over the last few weeks. It's been, yeah. I get a lot of physical, do you get a lot of physical symptoms and that sort of thing as I'm going through it, you know?
Absolutely.
Which a lot of us are going through at the moment. Yeah.
A lot of tiredness. Definitely
a lot of tiredness. Oh God, yeah. And you know, I listen very much to spirit too, or what, you know, and if they say to rest, I rest. I pretty much work from that, and work from, like you say, Christina, it's like everything is in our cells, and I find that the energy of all that is within every single cell. And I tend to listen to the cells in my body, and they pretty much speak to me, and I just like go from, if my cells in my body tell me to go here, I go there. And you know, it's sort of like I now, after so many years of healing, have learned that to let go, let God, and allow the universe to sort of direct me to where it is that I need to go. And if it directs me to a certain person or to a healer, that's exactly what I do, you know. Or if I'm to do it myself, then that's what I'm to do. You know, it's kind of like listening to the cells in your body. That's probably the greatest thing you can probably do, and allow it to take you to where it is you need to go at any given moment, because that's all you have is the moment. There is nothing else.
Yeah,
That's
There's
right.
no future, there's no past. It's all happening right now. That's a spin out.
Yeah.
I think like that.
Yeah, spot
Mm.
on. And, you know, all we have is this present moment. We don't
That's
have
it.
the past anymore. We don't have the future just yet. It's only the present moment. So what are some tips, I guess, for the listeners to be able to do that inner work? I think for me, just so you have a little bit of time to think about it, for me, the biggest piece of advice that I can give is, you know, you really need to feel negative emotions as they come up, you know, in order for you to work through them. You know, stop making excuses, because, you know, the time of excuses is gone. The time of, as I said before, you know, consuming substances so you can numb your pain, working 7 days a week, you know, that's not going to help anyone. All you're going to do is suppress those emotions, and, you know, you're going to be like a volcano. It's just going to explode out of nowhere at any given time. So really, I feel my biggest piece of advice is to really move through those emotions, do breath work, meditate, you know, sit out in nature and just be with yourself. Because ultimately, what is this journey that we're on? It's actually the journey back to the self. You know, it's the journey back to the self. And if we're afraid to be with ourselves, then, you know, what's that saying about the kind of society that we live in? Well, we know what that means about the society that we live in, but, you know, it's not pleasant. We've all been through grief. We've all been through anger. We've all been through uncontrollable triggers, especially over the last 2 years, seeing what's happening and what's unfolding in the world around us. But ultimately, this is leading us back to ourselves, and for us to become sovereign again, and to live life with discernment and with our intuition intact, because that's what we have going forward.
Yeah, I agree. I would say, I mean, I've lived on my own for a very long time, and I had to do that because I felt the burden of everything that I was going through, being around other people. I needed to be on my own. I left my family, moved out on my own, and then proceeded to do the healing work. I would say you're dead right. You need to feel your feelings, no matter how hard, no matter how scary it might feel. To feel your feelings is, you know, there's one thing that I've actually noticed, that a lot of people will meditate and, you know, keep on this straight, narrow line of, I'm just going to continue to be happy. I'm not going to look at everything that's down below that's making me feel, I'm not going to look at that. And I think there are some religions, some of the, you know, religions that actually promote that. And I feel that and will actually call and judge emotions as either negative or positive or good or bad. I feel that every single emotion must be felt, and to label them as either good or bad, positive or negative, does not help. So when you are angry, you have like an automatic response and you're angry, let that anger take you to where it is it needs you to go. It may take you somewhere that you didn't even realize, that you didn't even know that there was possible, that there was something there that needed to be looked at, that needed to be loved, that needed to be nurtured, you know, and felt. And so I do not judge any emotion. I would never, ever, I could never do that, because, and, you know, people go on about ego and all that sort of stuff. You know, I think sometimes our ego can either be a friend or it can be a foe. And I think sometimes you have to allow for these things to happen and to be, so that you can process these these feelings and emotions and all that sort of stuff and responses that you had, they can be your greatest teachers if you allow them to be. Just to meditate on being happy all the time, and keeps you like this. You don't feel anything up here, and you certainly will not look at anything down there that is actually trying to keep you in this state of status quo. Status quo is not always the best thing for you. Or maybe it is. But for me personally, I could never. I have to actually be able to have that richness of every single emotion, look at it and, feel it, love it. And also too, I would say, as you've said too, nature's our greatest healer. Like, I just get in the car, I can go out to the garden. Yes, that is one way I do it. But also to take your feet out of your shoes and go and just be in nature. A lot of the time, my son-in-law will take me bushwalking with the children and with bare feet, and it is the best thing ever. It's so fantastic for your balance. It's so good for everything in your whole entire body. So get your shoes off, get out in nature, walk on the grass, lie on the grass, look up at the sky, things that we used to do when we were children. Quite often I will jump in the car and go to the waterfalls, because the waterfalls to me are like, and the bush in the Otways for me is extraordinarily healing. Yeah. So yeah, I agree. Sorry, Christina.
That was really good, Tracy. I am very fond of something called the access consciousness, which is all about being in the question. So I know I'll talk about affirmations not being always right, but I do believe that in some ways the new age spirituality, the affirmations and all of that, this will come to me, hasn't been the greatest for society, because as Tracy's saying, it's saying that ego is bad. Ego is not bad. It's there to protect us. Like, for women working in the corporate world, we need an ego. Like, you need an ego at the hospital, Tracy. Everyone needs their ego, because it protects us. It keeps us up there working with all those men. We need it. So it's about like, at this time, a lot of people I know going through that phase where they lose friendships. It's okay. It's okay for your life to not be the same as everybody else's. It's okay for you to be living with your parents. It's okay for you to not have had kids at 39. It's okay. Don't be in fear. Embrace your own journey. Go get the healings or what you need to do, and be in the question, how does it get any better than this? Like, it can only get better, can't it? Like, what is next for me? And really tune into yourself, because if you're not true to you, no one else is going to care. No one else cares. And the thing about healing and doing the work, what happened to me, and I think it happens to a lot of people, when you're a people pleaser and you all of a sudden become somebody that's a little more confident, you're changing as a person, your friendship groups change, everyone around you changes, and that's okay, because they're there when you were the people pleaser, but they're not going to be there when you're not the people pleaser, because that's all they see. So if your job changes, if you don't have a job, it doesn't matter. Do what is right for you, as long as you're good to other people, but do what's right for you, and just keep searching. Like, for me, I just looked up an app one day and I was like, oh, I want to do hypnosis on an app. That's how I found hypnosis. And this amazing guy has these amazing hypnosis sessions, and you listen to them before you go to bed. Just try stuff and you'll find what you really enjoy. And be in the question. Always, how does it get any better than this? What else is possible for me today? Think of the questions you can come up for yourself, because the universe will always answer.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you. So I think we might wrap up, but just a few final messages. And thanks, Christina, because you led me into the last thing that you said. So really trust in the universe. That's my final message to the viewers. Really know that it does have your back. And 2021, I know for me and for a lot of other people, it's really been about surrender and letting go of attachments, and that's been massive. It took me a good year to actually realize that. But there comes a point where you physically, emotionally, mentally, you can't do that anymore. You can't hold on, to certain things. You have to let other people go in their own way, which is not to say that they're out of your life completely, but everyone's got their journey. You need to have that certain level of detachment, I think. But yeah, really trust in the universe. And I was talking to a friend yesterday, and I was saying to her that there were so many moments in my life where I thought I wasn't going to make it, if whether I lost a job, or thought I was going to be homeless, where's the money going to come from? Right at the end, when I was just hanging by a thread, and I was just literally hanging by a thread, the universe comes and and does something that made me feel that it was going to be okay. It's always been like that. That requires a huge level of trust, and and that really opens you up, that aligns you into your center. Just a few weeks ago, I made a decision that that I needed to get out of Melbourne, and I was going to move interstate. And I kid you not, 2 weeks afterwards, things are in the process, to help me achieve that goal. I'm selling my house. It's becoming real that I will actually leave Victoria. So that's what happens when you surrender to the universe and you actually let go of all the attachments. We're not going to take them with us where we're going. When you can really align to yourself and have that faith, it takes a lot of courage, and it takes a lot of faith in the universe. The universe really does have your back. So there's one thing that I can say to everyone that's going through a hard time at the moment, is really have that faith and work towards that journey of surrender.
That's beautiful, Hans. Really lovely.
Yeah.
I agree. I do concur with everything said. Everything. That's beautiful.
Yeah. And we can't hang on. We've got to lighten the load, get rid of our baggage.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Carry the shit with us where we're going.
And that's something I noticed. I was talking to a friend the other day.
And it seems like there's a lot of people going to Queensland, Hans.
Yeah. There'll be nobody left in Melbourne anymore.
I know. Oh, they'll be me. I'm still in.
Come with us.
Oh, don't worry. My daughter lives very close to the border there, so I'll be up there at some point to visit.
Absolutely.
I'll have to visit everybody. I've got so many people that are going up there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's okay.
Well, a friend actually told me that that's where the startings of the new earth is gonna be.
I absolutely agree. Yep.
Yeah.
There's something, there's like some sort of energetic something going on up there. Yeah. I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Because
I mean,
Victoria has one of the darkest places in the whole entire world right now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why a lot of us are here. A lot of us, starseeds, light workers, whatever you want to call yourselves, whatever, we're all here to hold the light, hold the love here, because it's needed. Where it's been a very, very dark place by my personal experiences on an esoteric level here. So I think you're absolutely right. I really, really think that Queensland may be the sort of like the womb of the new earth.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I keep picking up there's a lot of something to do with marine animals up there. I don't know what it is, but
well, a card that I pulled the other day, it was this beautiful card from, I think it's the Into the Light Oracle deck that I have, and I pulled out this beautiful card with 2 dolphins, just flying up above the water.
oh wow.
And, that's what made me, yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful up there.
Yeah.
That's a dolphin box.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And they've got such beautiful energy, such peaceful energy. But yeah, I totally agree. Melbourne is a very dark place. And, you know, the womb of the new earth, I think, is going to start being created. You know, northern New South Wales, Queensland, those sort of areas. So, you know, yeah, that's what happens. You know, the universe aligns you with where you're supposed to go once you start
Exactly.
to surrender.
That's right.
Yeah,
100% agree.
yeah.
So good luck. You know,
Thank you.
you'll be up there in no time at all. You're meant to be there,
Yeah,
I feel.
yeah. Well, you know, I was
Yeah.
thinking about, you know, where can I live in Victoria that, you know, I could finally settle in, and I thought to myself, there's nowhere. There's really nowhere
No,
at the moment.
no.
It's just better to start afresh. I have a friend in Lismore at the moment. She's visiting her mother at the moment there, and you know, she was saying it's like, okay, I've got to be careful with what I say. It's like the sniffles doesn't even exist, you know, up there.
Exactly.
I didn't say the C word.
Sniffles up there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty hard to get sniffles.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, you know, that's what it feels like up
Yeah.
there.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. And Christina,
Yeah.
what final message can you give the listeners before we finish?
Stay away from fear. Like you said the C word before, and I had it. I actually did have it bad enough that I was in bed for a couple of weeks. And
Yeah.
I noticed on a forum on Facebook, people were saying about losing their hair 3 months after. Well, that's happening. It's falling out. You know what? I'm a hypnotherapist. I can repair my cells. I can make it grow. And it's like you can heal from anything, and just stay away from the fear of it. If there's just be in faith that the universe has a higher plan for you. So if you do happen to lose a job, or if you do happen to something happen, people turn their backs on you, just know that you're being put in a better place. You're being pushed somewhere different, kind of like you, Harms. You're being pushed out of where you live
Yeah.
for something brighter and better and bigger. So just trust the journey.
Absolutely. Trust the journey. It's all about trust.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would say the same. Trust the journey, trust yourself, trust the universe. I'm exactly the same. It's like trust every single feeling that comes up. That's going to place you in alignment with all that is, pretty much. So I agree, Christina. That's exactly right. It's sort of like, I remember my mother always said to me, and it's always stayed with me, even in my workplace, because you see, the workplace can be full of egos and different things. But I remember my mother always says to me, she used to say, like, feel the fear, do it anyway. So it's, as you said before, it's really important to feel absolutely everything that you feel and never negate it, and allow it to lead you to where it is that you need to go. It will always lead you someplace that you may never have even thought that knew existed within you. So that's what I would say. Just feel everything that you're going to feel and allow it to take you into an aligned universe, pretty much, which is just, alignment with all that is. So that's it. Feel the fear, do it anyway.
Yeah.
Because
Beautiful.
it will lead you somewhere amazing.
Beautiful. And on that note, we will finish up today's video. Thank you so much, ladies. This has just been an absolute blast.
It was beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you. We'll do it again soon. And for
We
everyone
will.
listening, I'll pop all your links in the video description. So I've had sessions with both Christina and Tracy, and they're absolutely amazing. So contact them and book a session. You won't regret it. And trust in the journey.
Thank you, Thank you, Christina.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.